Hey guys, welcome back again to Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. I'm doing a series, and the series is called What Makes This Singer Great? And next up is Chris Cornell. Now, like I said in a few of these videos already, it's not so much just what makes the singer great technically or, as a singing artist, but what comes to mind when you think of the singer. So I kind of want to start there for me. When I think of Chris, I think of power. He's a very powerful singer. I think of range. He had an incredible range at a time when there wasn't a lot of singers like focusing on range, especially in the grunge era, which he didn't want to be called grunge, even though it was from the Seattle movement. That wasn't a label or a stigma he wanted to be associated with. But so I think of power, range. I think of distortion, that really cool, awesome distorted sound in those epic screams. I mean, it's this growly scream stuff like in Cochise, etc. His songwriting, he was an excellent songwriter, and I don't care, what songs you did from Cochise, Say Hello to Heaven. I really like what he did with the James Bond soundtrack. In fact, I did a version of that. I'll put in the description as well. So we'll get to that in a minute if I can think of it. But which is Show Me How to Live is another tune I think of. We did that with my student Katie. We're gonna put that in the description also. But You Know My Name was the other one I was trying to think of that I did. That was the James Bond soundtrack. I'll put that in there. And I also did that song with my student Gabriela Gunchikova. So anyway, and I, like a stone, I did a version of that also. He's known for that, but I did a version. I couldn't get the publishing on it, so I wound up writing my own song kind of like it, and I put it on YouTube, and I'll put that in the description also. So I think of bands like Soundgarden. How about you? I think of Audioslave. I think of Temple of the Dog, right? So I want to dive into a performance of his so we can just kind of make some comments along the way and how Chris's technique works out. Now, I have a singing course called How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else, and I cover all this in the course on this kind of range, this kind of open throat technique, this kind of vocal tract shaping, this kind of distortion, and all that. So let's dive in and we'll talk about it as we go. Here we go. He's probably my favorite modern singer of all time. Okay, now there's a lot packed in this, right? So I didn't do a big long video. I just did one video of this because I want to break down a bunch of stuff. The very first thing, I'm going to repeat it. I'm going to play this over again so you see what I'm talking about. In this era and in this time, and Eddie Vedder popularized this, and I think he and Eddie were friends, and I think that's how the Temple of the Dog came about, actually before Pearl Jam, if I'm not mistaken. But so everyone uses and used, in order to sound modern, you had to cover your sound. So everything was covered and kind of closed, and so it didn't matter, what singer was doing it. Again, popularized by Eddie Vedder first. Everyone sort of used that approach to singing. So you had to kind of, if you didn't sound like that, you weren't a modern singer. Well, that's pretty problematic when it comes to going up in range, because the more you cover or darken a sound, the more difficult it is to get up into the head and into your face and whatnot, and really get good tone and good pitch and intonation. So if you notice, when Chris starts out, he starts out really covered and slow. And by the way, one more thing too, I might add, he was also really great at doing this, but it's very dangerous and very hard to do, is to sing something heavy on the bottom and then try to relax and release so that you can go up top and sing something with range. It's very tough. And also to get good tone, it's hard not to sing kind of heavy on the bottom to get that sound. So you have to really develop this. Again, I covered this in my singing course. So I want to go back and listen before we get into the chorus. Him singing kind of a little bit heavy, grinding into the sound, covering the sound, but notice how he kind of opens up to a ah vowel, a real open ah sound to get to the range, the open vowel itself and the distortion. So I'm going to back this all the way to the top, and I want you to check this out. Here we go. see I went from a very closed position to opening up that sound, because if you did nailin', it's very hard compared to nailin', right? It's up, open in the face, right? It's a lot easier to get to that range. And he also just had really naturally developed himself on his own some really cool low tone without having to sing quite so heavy on the bottom to get that distorted, cool, gritty sound without over singing the bottom, right? Let's continue. So anyway, like I said, I wasn't going to do some big long thing, but this kind of encapsulates a lot of what Chris did. You know, listen to Cochise. Now, like I said, I've got versions of me doing a medley of Cochise and Show Me How to Live. My girl Katie did a version of Show Me How to Live. I did, like I said, the James Bond soundtrack, You Know My Name. I'll put all this in the description. My student Gabriella did that as well. And you can see how we fared out and how I did singing this stuff. So now, if I missed something, guys, I want you guys to step up to the plate and put into the comments section what you think of when you think of Chris Cornell. And then also, too, if you would recommend to me who you would like me to do takedowns of on what makes this singer great, that would be super awesome. And I have another killer video headed your way. Check this out.